All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're watching us live or if you're watching the replay of this, no matter what time of day it is and whatever time zone you might be in, it is time to tell the truth. That's the series that we're involved in. Many of us remember back in the day, I'm telling my age for sure, there used to be a show called To Tell the Truth. And that's what our objective is here today, because without truth, we can't be set free. And we're destroyed because of the lack of knowledge. My name is Dr. Rosalind Shaw Belt. Everybody calls me Dr. Roz. I am the CEO of Dream to Life Productions Ministry, LLC, and Inc., nonprofit. I am a wife, a musician, a bunch of other stuff I've been blessed to be able to do, because when you're faithful of a few things, he makes you ruler over much. But the thing that I want to focus on today is me being a certified wellness coach. Yes, certified is the key word. I have a certificate of completion with a Econopreneur and lifestyle consultant, as well as wellness coach with the Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0, where our naturopathic doctor, Dr. Eric Prince, was our leader and teacher. So today we're still talking about diabetes. Now, please, please, please understand that as you're listening to this, I'm not only speaking to those who have been diagnosed with diabetes. I'm also speaking to those who don't want to ever be diagnosed with diabetes. Because see, if we know ahead of time the things that we need to know, we will never be labeled with that title for that particular disease. And if you have been found to maybe be a pre-diabetic, they say, or maybe you're insulin resistant, or maybe you've got type 2 or type 1, listen, I just want you to start learning that you and I, all of us, regardless of whatever it is, or if you have nothing, if you don't own any medication, we need to start focusing on food as our medicine.
We know that diabetes is very prevalent in the United States, and it is the #1 cause of kidney failure and a leading cause of heart attacks, strokes, amputations, poor wound healing. Yes, there are medications that can help to treat diabetes, but largely you can use food as medicine.
That's the goal. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, because we find ourselves on so much medication. As a licensed insurance agent, and I work with Medicare mostly, many of my clients, when I sit down at the table with them to talk about which particular plan they're going to have, and they want to know how much they have to pay for their medication, they pull out bags of medicine. And there's no effort being made to find other ways to do it. So I'm a proponent of this, that we need to let food be thy medicine.
Proteins are excellent for helping you to manage type 2 diabetes. They're a great way for managing your blood sugars. A lot of times when you want to grab a quick snack, you might think that you want to grab something like that's full of carbs, things that will satisfy you. You might think about popcorn, bad idea. You might think about grabbing, like a roll or croissant, bad idea. When you think about diabetes, you should think about proteins. And so there's lots of healthy proteins, such as hard-boiled eggs and definitely fish. Fish like salmon. Now, these are frozen fillets. I can go right over here behind me and get some fresh fish, including the salmon like what I have. Also, other fatty fish. You can get mackerel, halibut, sardines, but you don't want the sardines to be covered in salt. You want sardines that are either in water or in some type of an olive oil. And there are other proteins that are healthy as well. Beans, lentils, and edamame. And so just make sure that you have protein as a really high part of your diet if you have diabetes.
So we want to definitely move in that direction. Let's keep going.
Okay, you definitely need to have fiber-rich foods on your list to keep you full and satisfied and to help you have great blood sugar levels. So here we are with our leafy green vegetables, right? So foods like broccoli and all of the cruciferous vegetables, actually. So even cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. I like to slice mine in a thin fashion, put olive oil on them, garlic, and it's just a nice, delicious way to have the Brussels sprouts without them having that somewhat of a pungent taste. So I love my Brussels sprouts. We've got our cabbage. Okay, we know that cabbage is really great for you. This cabbage is good. The red cabbage or purple cabbage is even better. Okay, it has more of the flavonoids, more of the phytochemicals that are good for you. So really, anything that's leafy and green is loaded with fiber. It has chlorophyll, which helps your body to detoxify, and it helps you to decrease your insulin resistance. So all of these things are great.
Now, by now, I hope you understand where we're going with this today. No, we've been talking about all the stuff you can't have. You can't have, you gotta avoid this, you can't have this. Well, today is going to be a good day. We're going to talk about all the things you can have. So now is the list that you start making. This is going to be my grocery list. See, there's a reason why it seems to be hard for people to let food be thy medicine. One of the reasons is that cultural and emotional ties to food. We are cultural people. And sometimes we're tied to a certain kind of food, okay? We're African Americans, we love our what? Soul food. Sometimes we're tied to that. Even what other cultures, Mexicans, Asians, all are tied to their culture, and then sometimes it's emotional. But food isn't just fuel, it's tradition, it's comfort, it's celebration. We just have celebrations. I tell people all the time, one of the worst places to go to eat and the worst foods that we have, unfortunately, is in the church. There's a certain kind of food that you expect to see when you go to the repast. Am I right about it? Of course. Many people grow up eating a certain kind of way, and it becomes emotional and social. So changing those habits can feel like, oh, you're trying to be like this person, or you're losing part of your identity. But no, that's not the case. So we're going to touch on these reasons why it's hard for people to let food be their medicine. But we're also going to give you step-by-step guide. I'm a proponent of making a gradual transition. Some people can go cold turkey. Some people can go slam, bam, thank you, ma'am. They become a vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, or they just go whatever raw. But others of us, we need to make steps into that direction. And as you continue to make one step at a time, you find yourself in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 2 years, you've made tremendous changes. And that incident or that issue that you were dealing with, that sickness, that disease is no longer there. So you start with awareness. I'm hoping that this is making you aware. Begin by noticing how food makes you feel. Now, we all know this. We all have some kind of food that makes your stomach ache, or makes you dizzy, or makes you feel queasy, or just gives you an upset, oh, I feel bloated, but we still keep on eating it. Come on, let's become aware. Notice how the food makes you feel. Keep a journal or take mental notes after your meals. Does the food you eat make you feel energized or sluggish? Bloated or balanced? Tuning into this is the first step to transformation.
Foods that are high in antioxidants are also going to be great for managing your diabetes, because when you have the antioxidants, that helps to get rid of free radicals and to get rid of inflammation. We know that diabetes can be really bad on vessels. It can cause poor circulation, poor wound healing. And so the more foods you eat that are high in antioxidants, the less inflammation you have and the less damage the diabetes mellitus will do to your body. So what foods are high in antioxidants? Fruits, of course. We have berries. Okay, we have strawberries, which are wonderful. Strawberries are actually one of the most nutrient-dense fruits that we have. And so you can have strawberries anyway. Of course, you can just eat them plain. You can chop them up. You can add them to your smoothies. You can have them to top your chia pudding, have them to top your oatmeal with the still oats. You can put them in salads. So strawberries are a really great part of the diet. All right, so here are some mixed berries. Now, see, this would be my choice because you have the blueberries, you have raspberries, you have blackberries, and so this gives you a nice flavorful mix. You have the sweetness, but a lot of people worry about fruits because some of them really do have high sugar, and we know we need to limit our grams of carbs in our sugar. But when you have fruits that are also high in fiber, that helps to slow down the release of glucose in your body, and it prevents you from having an insulin spike. So consult with your doctor, but don't always be afraid of fruits with high sugar as long as they have high fiber. So yeah, these mixed berries are a good choice.
Now, if this is your first time catching our session, which this is part 3, you want to go back and look at part 1 and 2, because we really dealt in and delved into understanding this whole thing about diabetes. So many people are just labeled with being a diabetic, but don't understand it. So we need to understand what's going on with our body. What is the deal about insulin? How is it supposed to work? How is it supposed to flow?
Also, artichokes, that's another non-starchy vegetable. Artichokes are interesting. They're really an interesting looking vegetable, aren't they? Now, in order to get to the actual artichoke portion that you can eat, you have to get rid of all of this beautiful, delicate looking these pieces on the outside to really get to the center, the heart of it, the artichoke hearts. And so if you're someone who's moving around busy, don't have time to do that, you can find artichoke hearts where all the work has been done and all of this excess, these leaves have been pulled off. But you want to be careful and make sure that if you find an artichoke heart like that and say it's soaking in a preservative, make sure that it's just water. Or if it is an oil, perhaps something like an olive oil. You don't want to be in an oil that's going to increase your cholesterol or something that's really inflammatory. So be careful with that. So preferably a pre-prepped artichoke heart that's already peeled. You want it in just water or olive oil perhaps, if you're not going to do it yourself. But yes, that's another way to have a non-starchy vegetable to lower your blood sugar. And of course, cabbage. And when you cook your cabbage, there are all kinds of ways, but you want to make sure that when you are cooking these vegetables, if you're not going to eat them raw, that you cook them as little as possible and so that you maintain the maximum nutrients. So yes, asparagus, broccoli, artichokes, avocados as well. That's another great one. It's one of my favorite, and it's a non-starchy vegetable. It is high in fiber, it's low in salt, it's high in potassium, and this is another food to incorporate in your diet in order to lower your blood sugar naturally.
Anybody ready to go to the grocery store? See, this is the kind of stuff we need to stock up on. This is what should be in our refrigerator, in our cabinets. So another reason why it's hard sometimes for people to transition between medication and food, or letting food become your medication, is convenience. Convenience over consciousness. I meet people on a daily that don't want to know. You know, we just settle in a certain mindset because we've been programmed, we've been bamboozled, we've been hoodwinked to believe that this is the only way, and there's no possible way. And mind you, you can probably find doctors that will tell you that you can never lower your cholesterol with food. You could never get off your blood pressure medicine. You know why they say that? Because they've told you that you have to be on it for the rest of your lives. But let me tell you something. God did not make this body for the medicine. Now, am I saying just ditch your medicine? I am by no means saying that I would never tell you to do that. I am saying to you, for you to become conscious. Fast food and processed options are the quick, cheap, and everywhere. They're everywhere. Whole healing foods, they require some planning. They require some prepping. They require some cooking. I mean, I'm on my last day of the Daniel fast, and I've been cooking things for my household, myself and my husband, and we've been eating plant-based, beautiful, delicious plant-based meals. But I'll be the first to tell you, the prepping took a little time. It took a little time to cut up all the celery and put it in the little thing I used to really chop it up real fine and to cut up all the different things to make soups that were, he said, delicious. Okay, but there was some prepping involved. And sometimes we're so busy. We're too busy to help ourselves. So it takes planning, prepping, it takes cooking, things many people feel they don't even have the time for anymore. We got to go back to the old school. We got to take the time, spend one day of the week doing all the prepping, and then just be able to cook it, make your own TV dinners, you know, put your own stuff together that you can reheat. So let's start making the transition. My goal today is that you leave here saying, I'm going to start making steps. And again, I'm not telling you just to do it overnight. I get it. I get it. We've been doing it a long time. You know, if you're overweight, if you're obese, if you're not excited when you look in the mirror at yourself and you feel like there's some pounds that you could lose, well, guess what? Make a step at a time. Upgrade one meal at a time. Don't try to overhaul your whole entire diet overnight. And if you're that kind of person and you're able to do that, it's okay. But I believe that if you do it gradually, it then becomes a lifestyle. Because I talk to people and they say, well, I used to be a vegan. I used to be this. Well, because they did it all in one time and it never became a lifestyle. So start by transforming one meal a day, like making your breakfast maybe plant rich, or swapping out the snacks for fruit and for nuts or for smoothies.
And so with your vegetables, you want to make sure you have many non-starchy vegetables, such as asparagus. I really like asparagus. It has a special flavor to it. And the asparagus is loaded with folates, with potent antioxidants. It's low in calories. And so it's something that you can really cook in different ways, and you can fill your stomach up without having all of the excess calories, which means it can also be good for maintaining a healthy weight. And of course, maintaining a healthy weight is another way to lower your blood sugar naturally. Another non-starchy vegetable would be broccoli, and we know that broccoli is good for so many things. So of course it can help to lower blood sugar naturally, again, by being a way to fill up, to bulk, to help you to lose weight. And broccoli also is loaded with all kinds of vitamins and antioxidants, and it can even enhance your immune system naturally.
Now, there's so many different vegetables. There's so many that there's some that none of us have ever tried. And we're so quick to say, well, I don't like that. Well, don't knock it till you try it. And then you got to make sure it's how it's cooked. I'm learning that it's all in the seasoning, because you can make things taste good that you never thought would taste good.
Leafy green vegetables. I have a feeling you already knew that. And so when we're dealing with spinach, I love spinach, y'all. When we're dealing with kale, collard greens, all of these foods are low in calories. They're loaded down with vitamins, with antioxidants, with beta carotenes. And bulking up with these foods can help you to decrease the amount of unhealthy foods that you eat, can help you to maintain healthy blood sugar levels and maintain a healthy weight, maintain an increased insulin sensitivity. So yes, green leafy vegetables, another way to lower your blood sugar naturally.
Now, can you believe that we could have collard greens without fat back? Can you believe it's possible? And it's possible for it to taste good. Yes, you can have collard greens and all the different greens that we have, right? Without putting all the fat meat in it, and it will still taste good. So a lot of times it's hard for us to make the transition to letting food be our medicine, is because of the lack of nutrition education. And let me tell you something that you may not know. It's quite possible that your doctor, yes, your doctor, the one that you depend on, trust, and everything, your doctor has had very limited knowledge of nutrition. Unless they did it on their own, it's not required in medical school. Only a course or two is required in medical school. But what is required for them to be able to tell you which medication you should take. So it's not, sometimes it's even a lack of nutrition education on their part. Now, there are those doctors who have done it on their own. And when they talk to you, like this doctor here, Dr. Frieda, who is a nephrologist, who is a kidney doctor, but look what she's teaching. But see, most people aren't taught. I remember when I was in school, we had health education. Nowadays, they don't even have those courses anymore. And most people aren't taught how food affects the body beyond the basic ideas like eat your veggies. Your mama put your plate down and she said, eat your veggies. These days, mamas are not even doing that. They're asking the kid, what do y'all want to eat? And what's the kid saying? I want McDonald's. I want pizza. I mean, they're not supposed to be asking and telling us as a parent what they should eat. So, as I said, the healthcare professionals don't even get thorough nutrition training. So what are we going to do? Let's make steps. Let's focus on adding, not restricting. See, instead of cutting out everything bad, because that's when our psyche says, I can't have this. I can't have chicken. I can't have this. See, all of a sudden, we start battling mentally. Start by adding more food, more good leafy greens, herbs, colorful vegetables, fiber-rich grains, anti-inflammatory spices. And eventually, watch what your body's going to do, because this is the way God made our body. Eventually, the good will crowd out the rest, because your body wants to intake everything that's good.
When we talk about fats, I know with diabetes, it's normally a bad thing. Why? Because we know that when you have a lot of fat, especially belly fat, then it can cause you to have insulin resistance. But when it comes to your diet, having healthy fats is actually great for diabetes. It helps to improve your insulin sensitivity. It helps to improve your hemoglobin A1C. So what do I mean by healthy fats? Foods like nuts, okay? So here we have some nuts. It can be almonds, pistachios, cashews. They have healthy fats. They also have some protein, they have fiber, and they help to unclog your arteries naturally. Avocados, y'all, I love avocados. Those also have healthy fats. Olive oils, especially extra virgin olive oil, another example of a healthy fat. And so when you go grocery shopping, look for the nuts, look for the avocados, look for the healthy fats to improve your diabetes.
Now, one of the things that we also teach here is that you should eat according to your blood type. That's a whole nother training and teaching. And so some of the things that she's talking about, although they may be healthy for one person, might not be healthy for another person, depending on what your blood type is. So make sure that you try to get that information as well. All right.
Nuts and seeds. So flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, pistachios, almonds. These foods are an excellent way to lower blood sugar naturally. They are loaded with fiber, with protein. When you eat these nuts and seeds, they have low calories. Plus, they can fill you up and lead to early satiety, meaning you get full faster with these low calorie foods, so there's less room to eat fatty foods or unhealthy foods. There was a study that showed that eating walnuts could actually be helpful in lowering blood sugar. They showed that patients who ate walnuts, the antioxidants, could, in some cases, actually decrease the risk for developing diabetes mellitus type 2 by up to half. Now, we're talking about a small study. We're not talking about a huge randomized controlled trial, but in the case of walnuts, generally will be likely helpful just for a heart-healthy diet. Won't hurt, but could certainly help to lower blood sugar. The other thing about nuts and seeds is that they have been shown by some studies to increase insulin sensitivity and to decrease blood sugar levels.
And one of the reasons doctors are waiting to even talk about nutrition in the sense that it could help you stop being a diabetic, it could help you get off medication, decrease medication, it could help you not have heart problems and etc., is because they're waiting on the studies. But my thing is this: how long are we going to wait? How many studies do we have to have? How many people have to die? How many people have to be sick before we make necessary changes? How many people have to be diagnosed with cancer? Have you noticed that the age range of those having cancer and diabetes and high blood hypertension and all this stuff, Alzheimer's and dementia, is getting lower and lower? The age range is dropping, younger and younger people. So I don't think we have to wait. See, because sometimes one of the reasons why it's hard for us to transition between food to medicine, or letting food be our medicine, is because we hear so much information. Some of it's confusing, some of it's contradictory. And everywhere you turn, there's a what? Let's try this diet. Let's try the keto diet. Let's try this, the Mediterranean diet. And you got all these different things. And some of them, you got to do your own due diligence. You got health myths. One will say this works and one will say that works. And do you know there's some things that used to work that your mama and your grandmama used to do that we really need to go back to? And they didn't have any new diet trends. They used to go to the backyard, get the aloe vera plant. Or sometimes there's a product that's claiming to be the answer, like, that one that's out there that people are getting the shot, and it was supposed to be a shot for diabetes. I won't call its name. You know what name I'm talking about. And then people started claiming that it was helping them to have weight loss, but it was never designed for that. Okay, so we just grab the next quick thing. It has to be a lifestyle change. And all this noise leads to confusion, and then we don't do anything. But if we just start making steps, learn what your body needs. I'm going to say it again. God made our body to heal itself. Even though every single person, your body's different. But learn your body type. Learn what your blood type is. Learn what you have allergies or sensitivities or imbalances to. Consider having a bioscan. If there's someone in your area, or tap this and find out there's someone in your area to show you in 2 minutes where you're deficient in certain areas of your of your body. It's called a bioscan, biofeedback technology. Your blood work. Or simply pay attention to how you react to certain foods. There's a reason behind that.
I'm also looking for whole grains. Whole grains like oats and quinoa are another way to really get full of fiber and to get full. You know, when you're full, that helps you to keep from eating things that are bad for you, like the saturated fats, the sugary foods. So when you fill yourself up with these low calorie, high fiber foods, it helps to not only increase your insulin sensitivity, it also helps you to maintain a healthy weight. And we know that if you're living with obesity or living with being overweight, that is a huge risk factor for worsening diabetes, worsening hyperglycemia. So yeah, the high fiber foods are the way to go.
How many of you ever eaten and you were full, but you kept on eating? All right? We tend to do it because your mama told you, eat all that food on your plate because the folks in Africa are starving. So we just finished the plate. And then most of the restaurants we go to, especially the soul food restaurants, oh my God, you pay a little bit more, but don't they put a whole lot on that plate? A lot of restaurants we go to, they pack it out. So we don't take the time to separate some of that, eat it later, eat it the next day. But everybody must make that decision.
So here we have some granola. Okay, you got to be a label watcher to make sure there's not a lot of salt added or sugar added. But if you're dealing with a whole grain, okay, or a whole oat, that's going to be good for you. And make sure that when you're dealing with grains, you do use the whole grains. So by whole grain, I mean a grain that has all three parts of the grain. If you're dealing with rice, for example, if it's brown rice or black rice, then it can be a whole grain. But if it's white rice, it tends to be stripped of some of the important nutritive portions of the grain. So basically, just read the labels, get whole grains, and that's another way to help to manage your diabetes.
Did you know that about white rice? See, that's what I mean about destroyed for the lack of knowledge. We're accustomed to eating the white rice, not knowing it's been stripped of the nutrients, or do we care? But when we understand that it is being stripped of the nutrients that we need, we can find other rices to have. Doesn't mean you can't have your rice. I know you love your rice. Some of you eat rice in every single meal. There's some cultures that we are brought up in. Our families have done it. Some of us have some kind of pasta with every single meal, but it ought to be that's going to be healthy for you. So it's hard. I don't want you to leave here not saying it's an easy road to travel. It is hard for people to let food be their medicine, but there are reasons for that. Sometimes it's because we're addicted. There's that word nobody likes to hear. You want to say you can help those people who have a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, but I promise you there are probably more people that have food addictions than drugs and alcohol. And you know, the one addiction we're addicted to is processed foods. Processed food, anything that's not a whole food. Yes, everything on that back wall of the grocery store in the meat section, hello, is processed. Everything over there in the corner with all the turkey and the lunch meat and the hot dogs and the sausages. I know, don't shoot the messenger, but it's all processed. That's how it stays in the package on the shelf. Everything in the middle aisles, it's in a box or a can or a bag or a jar, is processed. That's how it remains there and doesn't go bad. Because some of those things, as soon as you open them, what do they say? Put it in the refrigerator. So sugar, salt, and artificial additives, those are the things that are in processed foods that are addictive to us. And they don't fill us up. That's why we want more of it. And they hijack our taste buds. And they hijack our brain. And they make us healthy food seem bland in comparison to it. So now when you eat something healthy and you say, oh, this ain't got no seasoning. Oh, this is just, this doesn't even taste good. Because our brain and our taste buds have been hijacked. So what do? Let's step by step. Let's make this step by step today. We're going to leave here moving in the right direction. Keep healthy staples handy. Stock your kitchen with healing staples like garlic and ginger and turmeric, quinoa, beans, leafy greens, berries, lemons, and olive oil. And when that good stuff is ready and waiting, it's easier to make better choices. Even the seasonings to season your food.
Beans and lentils, again, low in calories, high in fiber, high in protein. Beans and lentils can help to lower blood sugar naturally. They can also help to lower cholesterol and unclog your arteries naturally. fish and shellfish. So salmon, tuna, mackerel, shrimp. If you're dealing with seafood, this is a way to help to lower blood sugar naturally. These foods tend to be low in calories, of course, which can help you to maintain a healthy body weight, which is good for controlling diabetes or preventing high blood sugars. They also have lots of omega-3s when you're dealing with fish. They tend to have omega-3s, and fatty fish like salmon will have high vitamin D, high potassium, and they have a great antioxidant property. Some studies show that dealing with these proper types of fish can help not only to lower blood sugar naturally, but can also help to lower triglycerides. They can help with inflammation. And so fish, another excellent choice if you are a diabetic or someone who's living with prediabetes.
So love it, love it, love it. Again, let me tell you, today is a good day, right? We're learning all the stuff we need to do. We've been talking about avoid this, quit this, knock this out the way, cut this out. But no, today is the day of everything we can have. So a lot of times it's hard for people to let go and not allow food to be their medicine, because that's what we want to take place in our lives, but they're dependent on the medication. Again, don't leave here saying, I will never say not take your medication, okay? If I walk out and step off the curb and somebody hits me or something and you're in the hospital, you want to give me some medicine, right? But I will never be at the point, I'm going to say never, I will never be at the point where I'm going to accept that I've got to be dependent on that medication for the rest of my life. Because I know that God did not make my body in that state. You got to find, many are conditioned, we're conditioned to treat symptoms with pills. What do? You get a headache, what do you get? That's why Tylenol became popular. You get pain somewhere and it became popular, rather than the root cause of using food to do it. The healthcare system prioritizes prescriptions over prevention. So we're going to educate ourselves. We're going to take steps to educate ourselves. I hope this will give you some level of education today to just do what? Pick one. Pick one superfood a week to learn about. Educate yourself. Discover its benefits and how to cook it. The more you know about the power of food, the more motivated you'll be able to eat without intention. I've had certain foods that I've learned about, and I cooked them and I bombed out. Didn't like it, couldn't stand it. And then watched a video of somebody else cooking that same food and said, okay, let's try this again. And the next time or the next time, perfected it in a way that it was not only nutritious, but it tasted good to our family. So just go after it. Discover the benefits and how to even cook that particular food.
Garlic. Now, garlic is actually one of my favorites because garlic has many medicinal properties, including lowering blood sugar naturally. Now, garlic has compounds that not only is it loaded with vitamins and antioxidants, and some studies suggest that it can help to lower blood pressure naturally. They can lower triglycerides, lower blood sugars naturally. Studies also suggest that the garlic can help to decrease blood sugar. Overall, garlic is just something that's really a healthy substance. Now, there was one study that was done, a review in 2015, and it did show that there was a clinical significance in the decreasing of fasting blood sugar with patients who used garlic versus those who didn't. And there was another study that was done in 2018. In this study, patients crushed raw garlic twice daily, and they were compared to those who did not use the garlic. They were compared with the placebo, and again, they were found to have a significant difference in blood sugar. Those who used garlic had lower blood sugars, as well as a smaller waist circumference. They lost more waist circumference. They had lower triglycerides as well. Some studies have been done as well that have been a little bit less conclusive. And so, again, it's important to consult with your physician, but understand that garlic is a food that may help to lower your blood sugar naturally.
I've read studies about people that live in blue zones. What's that blue zone where people live longer? The average people in blue zones, there are only 6 in the country. We only have 1 in the United States. That they have garlic in their diet. I've met people that are over the age of 100 years old. They all tend to say that garlic is a staple food in their diet.
Mm-hmm. Who knew that okra, good old okra, was one of the secrets to lowering blood sugar naturally? Okra has a specific compound, Abelmuscus esculentus, which has a hypoglycemic effect, meaning that it can lower your blood sugar. And when you are eating okra, especially if you're eating it quite a bit, it really can help to lower your blood sugar naturally, which is why if you're someone who is going to incorporate okra into your diet, and if you are already diabetic and you're on diabetic medications, please make sure you consult with your physician because okra is definitely a potent way to lower blood sugar naturally.
Oh my, how many of you love okra? Yeah, so let's begin to do this, but we got to understand that sometimes it's difficult because of financial barriers and food deserts. You know, there are certain areas where you can't find anything but bad food at the store. That little community store has nothing but things that are harmful, all the chips, you know, all the little fast food places that we go to, little convenience stores that we go to. There's nothing healthy in there. Maybe at the counter, there's a little bowl sitting there with some fruit. Okay, maybe, but everything else in there that's convenient, it's close by. Healthy food can sometimes be more expensive, but not all of it is. But sometimes there are areas that people live that it's harder to access. And if fresh produce isn't available or affordable, then it limits one's ability to eat for healing. But I'm glad to see in more areas of the country, you have farmers that are going to farmers markets, and there are more urban markets popping up all over the place. And there are people that are growing food so that we can start making the steps one habit at a time. One habit at a time. We're just ending the time of Lenten season when people give up something. But don't wait till Lent. Don't wait until a particular season of the year for you to replace a habit. If you know it's bad for you, if you know it's killing you, if you know it's destroying your kidney or your liver, if you know it's causing your heart to not be healthy, then let's replace that one habit. Let's start there. If you're craving soda, let's try fruit infused water. You love chips? Let's try something else. Roasted chickpeas. Try something. There's something, I promise you, there's something out there that will be an alternative. Slowly swap those harmful habits for healing ones without going cold turkey.
Pumpkin. Pumpkin is a glorious orange winter squash, and yes, it can help to lower blood sugar naturally. Pumpkin is low in calories, it's high in fiber, and it has a low glycemic load, which is actually different than the glycemic index. Glycemic load refers to the amount of sugars absorbed from carbs into the bloodstream. And when a glycemic load is less than 10, that's considered to be favorable. Well, the glycemic load for pumpkin is less than 3. And this is different again from glycemic index. They actually have a pretty high glycemic index. So when you're dealing with pumpkin, it's important to understand all of the health benefits. One is fiber. They have 3 grams of dietary fiber per 1 cup of pumpkins. But it's also important to understand that you do have to have some type of portion control because, as I mentioned, even though they do have that low glycemic load, they have a high glycemic index. And so if you start dealing with high portions of pumpkin, then you could get into trouble with your sugar. Now, there's something I want to mention with pumpkins, and that's that they have a high vitamin A. Vitamin A can really help with eye health. It helps to decrease macular degeneration, age-related macular degeneration. It can also help with reducing cataracts. It can help to reduce night blindness. I mention these because a lot of these eye issues are common in patients with diabetes. And so having pumpkin at a proper portion is something that can be helpful. Pumpkins also have high vitamin C, which helps to decrease inflammation in blood vessels. We know that many diabetics have inflammation in their blood vessels, which can lead to high cholesterol, which can also exacerbate the need for amputations after having poor circulation. And so you want to have vegetables that are high in vitamin C. Pumpkin is that vegetable. Now, when I say pumpkin, all things pumpkin are not healthy. I'm talking about fresh pumpkin. If you're dealing with pumpkin pie, for example, you already know that's loaded with sugar. Or if you're dealing with pumpkin puree, that may have high sugar as well. If you're looking at canned pumpkins or pumpkin seeds that are pre-prepared, they might have high salt. So you want to deal with fresh pumpkin, or you want to make sure you pay careful attention to the sugar content or to the salt content. And no, I'm not talking about the pumpkin lattes that are loaded down with sugar as well. But pumpkin is just one of those things. It's another way to lower blood sugar naturally.
So glad she covered all of that, because see, some of you pumpkin pie lovers thought you had it going on, you had it going on, right? Yeah, so when we talk about pumpkins and we talk about yams and sweet potatoes, we start thinking, oh, okay, then I can have my sweet potato pie and my pumpkin pie. No, because of the sugar content. We did a whole series, 5-part series on sugar, where are you? I suggest you go back and definitely take a look at that.
Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut. Now, who knew that sauerkraut could actually be good for lowering blood sugar naturally? Well, it can be. Sauerkraut actually means sour cabbage. Yes, sour cabbage. And it's a German food, and it is fermented cabbage. And so the fermentation process helps to keep the bacteria off of sauerkraut, and so it can be preserved for longer than regular cabbage. It does have health benefits. It has a lot of the health benefits of regular fresh cabbage. Also, the fermentation is helpful in some ways. With the sauerkraut, you have some probiotics which aid in digestion. And then sauerkraut is a low-calorie food. If you take a serving, a half a cup of sauerkraut, that's only 16 calories. Also, sauerkraut has no carbohydrates, no cholesterol, and it's pretty good on fiber because one serving of sauerkraut has 2 grams of fiber, which we know is another way that can help to lower blood sugar naturally. One thing to watch out for with sauerkraut, beware. Sauerkraut, even though it has all those health benefits I just mentioned, it can be loaded down with sodium. One serving of sauerkraut can have 219 milligrams of salt. And we know that in order to be healthy, in order to have a good blood pressure, you want to have a low salt diet. What does that mean? Moderation and just beware. But yes, sauerkraut is another way to lower blood sugar naturally.
Now, mind you, I remember having sauerkraut as a child. Couldn't stand it, didn't like it. Oh, it's sour. See, that's just the thing. That's the way we've been programmed. When something's sour, it's not good. At least in our culture, in our country, we're always looking for what's sweet. And so it makes it difficult for us to move and allow food to be our medicine. Another reason is because of the lack of immediate results. We're flam bam, thank you, ma'am. We're in the microwave society. We want it right now. I want to drop it right now. We all want the quick fix. If you're trying to lose weight or to gain weight, you want to do it overnight. But medication often provides that quick relief, but it's masking the real source of the problem. Healing with food takes consistency. That's why I keep saying it has to become our lifestyle. It takes time. Stop beating yourself up. Even if you fall off the horse, get back on. Something many people aren't used to or don't believe will work because it's taking time for it to do. But if you start making steps in that direction, one of the things you can do is connect. Connect with other people, like-minded people, a healing community. People that are on the same road as you are, people that have the same struggles that you may have. Surround yourself with people on this healing journey. Online groups nowadays, there's no reason not to commune with people if you don't have to do it physically. You got events, wellness events, even just a friend who's interested in your well-being. Healing is easier when you're not doing it alone.
Spices. Yes, spices. You have them all in your cabinets, no doubt. You see them in the grocery aisles. So there are many different spices like cinnamon, turmeric. And so we'll just talk about a couple today. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is a spice that's actually made out of tree bark, which is actually no shock when you look at the cinnamon. It kind of looks like a tree, right? The trick with cinnamon is that there have been many studies, but sometimes it's hard to compare because different doses have been used. And some studies found that there was no clinical significance in the decreasing of blood sugar with cinnamon, but there are many studies that have shown that there actually is a clinically significant difference. So you want to be sure you consult with your physician. One study, for example, compared people who took in 1 gram of cinnamon a day to 3 grams of cinnamon a day to 6 grams of cinnamon. They compared those groups to those who had placebo and used no cinnamon at all. And in that particular study, they found that there was a significant lowering of the blood sugar. There was another study that was done. It had 69 patients in China, all who were type 2 diabetics, and they compared those who used cinnamon daily versus those who didn't. And in that particular study, they found that the patients who used cinnamon had not only lower blood sugar, they also had lower triglycerides as well. And so the thing with cinnamon, you want to make sure that you don't use too much. You don't want to use over 6 grams a day if you are going to use a cinnamon supplement, because that can lead to certain problems. And also remember that if you're using a supplement, it won't necessarily be FDA approved. So in conclusion, some of the data is inconclusive. And when there was a meta-analysis that was done with cinnamon, where they compared 10 different studies, they did find that, again, some studies showed a significant lowering, some did not. But the real key is that it may help, won't hurt, but make sure you consult with your physician, because cinnamon is possibly a way that you can lower your blood sugar naturally. Another spice is turmeric. Now, turmeric is a very well-known spice, and if you have ever had curry, turmeric has something called curcumin, which is responsible for that coloring and that kind of flavor of the curry. The turmeric is a well-known antioxidant and a spice with anti-inflammatory properties, and many studies have shown that turmeric can lower blood sugar, as well as lowering cholesterol, as well as helping with chronic inflammation. So that's one. Spices can help to lower blood sugar naturally in many cases.
So, one of the things that I heard her say is, depending on when you talk with your physician, and she suggests that, of course, she's a physician. And here's what I'm going to say to you, even when you ask your physician, don't just ask them what do they think about you using turmeric, or what do you think about me using cinnamon. Ask them, have they done any research? Have they done any studies? Because we don't want just their opinion that is based on them desiring for you to stay on medication. We want to know, have they done their due diligence in that particular area? Then we can get the truth out of them, and then maybe they'll go and study it and then bring you back the information.
It's not always easy maintaining a healthy lifestyle and eating all of these healthy foods that help to lower your blood sugar naturally, but it is important. Again, diabetes can lead to so many issues. I am a nephrologist, a board certified kidney doctor and hypertension specialist, and the number one cause of patients being in my dialysis chair is diabetes.
The number one cause of people moving from where they are to pre-diabetes, to diabetes type 2, to type 1, to get to dialysis is diabetes. And along with that diabetes is usually high blood pressure. So here's my challenge and here's my quest. You don't have to wait for a diagnosis to make a change. Every bite. See, if we start thinking this way, what I'm eating right now, is it feeding my disease or is it fueling my healing? I mean, some things you know off the top of your head. When you eat an apple, you automatically know that that's not feeding disease. But we also know when we eat something, when we eat our fried food, when we go to the fast food restaurants, I mean, nobody has to tell us that this particular thing is really not that healthy for us. But we don't often think like, I'm feeding that disease. So start small, stay consistent, and remember, the same food that may have contributed to illness can also be the path to wellness if it's just eaten a different kind of way, cooked a different kind of way. I mean, so because a person can eat a salad, and that's for your wellness. But then when they put loaded with regular ranch dressing or any other dressing that's thick that you can't see through, all of a sudden now it's no longer for your wealth, but now it's feeding disease. See, we can mess up anything. We can eat something and we can load it with too much sugar. We can load it too much cream. We can load it with all the gravies, all the stuff that we were raised on, at least in my culture we were. But when you begin to let food be your medicine, you take control of your future. So you won't have to be a diabetic. You don't have to struggle with high blood pressure. You don't have to live under the weight of preventable and reversible diseases. So you don't have to wait for it. Every bite is a step toward either healing or harm. So let's move forward. Now let's start here. Start by detoxifying your blood step. One of the things we teach as a wellness coach, a 4-day detox, a 4-day bitters detox. Is it bitter? Absolutely. Absolutely, positively, it is bitter. That probably needs another definition for the term bitter because it's just that. But here's how it works. It boosts your digestion. It regulates your appetite, reduces your cravings. It supports liver detoxification. It eliminates the fat-soluble toxin in your digestive system. It alkalizes the body and reduces inflammation. It improves the gut, the microbiome, by promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria. And maybe you'll even decide at some point to do a 7 or 21-day raw cleanse. But one of the most important things about this is it alkalizes the body. You know what that means? Because disease cannot live in an alkaline environment, but it thrives. Cancer thrives because certain foods we're eating, we're feeding the cancer. So we challenge you to find somebody, DM this, if you're watching this video, if somebody gave this video to you, get back with them. They probably know how to get a 4-day detox to you. Very simple to do. Just boil the water, drop the tea bag in there, let it steep for about 8 hours. And then guess what? Drink that for 4 days and drink it as a community. Get with somebody else and let's do this together as a family, because it's all about a reset. It's all about breaking the cycle. We want to thank you for being here today. Listen, don't miss out. Go back and check out any of the other sessions that we've done. And we believe that you will have a different lifestyle, but let's start making steps, one step at a time. See you next time.